Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners.
Hey everyone, you're tuning in to part 2 of our latest episode. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, we highly recommend checking it out first to get the full context and enjoy the entire conversation. Both parts are packed with insights and stories that you won't want to miss. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive back in. And so moving on to kind of just from what we've been talking about, what are the key skills do you focus on to ensure technicians are better utilized and more effective in their roles?
So for me, again, everything kind of comes back down to training. My goal is to get people trained to that level where they're comfortable with these things. And then because I'm working with the clinics, their doctors are seeing that they are getting training on these things. So hopefully the doctors can then trust them with those things that they see that they're getting trained on. So increased skill level, visibility by those doctors so we can start increasing that trust as well. And those are pretty much the main things there. It's just a matter of getting in there and impressing upon people the importance of training. And so
Okay.
many people, so many of us just get tossed in like, okay, good luck, sink or swim mentality. And it's unfortunate. It's unnecessary. But by bringing training in and partnering with veterinary clinics to do that, because if they're investing in their teams in that way, that means they want their team to have those skills. And as they see that their skills start to improve, they'll be able to improve that relationship. And then also what I would like to do at some point is get in front of veterinarians and have those conversations like, hey, you need to start trusting your team, not trust them blindly, but make sure that they have the tools that they need to perform these tasks and that they have the psychological safety to say, I don't feel comfortable with this. Or, hey, can you explain this to me? Can you walk me through this? To feel comfortable and safe coming forward with their concerns, because that's the biggest scary part is a lot of people below the veterinarian in terms of the totem pole are scared to ask the questions. They're afraid they're going to get yelled at, ridiculed. What do you mean you don't know that? That's an inappropriate response. And I feel the same way when we're talking to clients. So many of us get upset. How do they not know that? It's like, did you know that before your first day in vet med? Probably not. So it's one of those things that open communication, again, training and support really will help build that up.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to be transparent too. And I have a lot of transparency with my doctors where like I'll get a blood smear and then I'll have to do a white blood cell count diff. And sometimes the white blood cells are not as obvious in some situations, when you talk about toxic neutrophils compared to monocytes, or I think I even saw a toxic lymphocyte one day, and I had never seen a toxic lymphocyte before, and I remember just running to the doctor and I'm like, "Okay, can you just tell me what this is, because I'm seeing this everywhere and I'm not familiar with it." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And they look at it and they're like, and I tell them, "I think that this is a toxic lymphocyte, but I don't know." And then they look at it, they're like, "Yep, that's exactly what it is." And that's a trust there where I can just run to my doctor and be like, "Can you just double check me? Because I'm not entirely sure. And I just want to make sure that I'm right here." And with so many things, and some people, like you said, they don't feel comfortable with that because then they just feel like they're going to be judged, or they feel like their doctor is just going to be like, "You know what, just forget it. I'll just do it because I obviously can't trust you."
Right.
But, and I remember one time too, I had a doctor at a place that I did relief at who told me to place a Penrose drain. And I looked at her and I was like, "You know what? as much as I would love to do that, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've never actually placed a Penrose drain before. And she's like, oh, well, we'll just do like a bow tie drain. And I was like, yeah, still never done that before. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna do one, and you can watch me, and then you can do the other one. Cool, yeah, let's do it. So
Love that.
those are the type of relationships that we need with our doctors, and
Absolutely.
so that is where you're going to get better. And then and the technicians are just going to want to learn more too from their doctors. So, but I have worked in clinics where the doctors don't trust you and they just do it themselves, and those ones are tough. Those are really tough to work in.
Yeah, what's really always funny to me is when I work with doctors who have worked with a lot of people that they can't trust because they worked with less skilled technicians and assistants, and they'll say something and I'll just kind of laugh in my head. Like I'm grateful that they're saying it because I'd rather that they overstate things rather than under, over communication is always better than under communication.
Right.
And it's funny. It's like, yeah. And I don't give them attitude at all, but like inside my head, I was like, wow, the fact that you have to say that, I'm so sorry for you. That and it would be something, I can't even think of an example right now, but it's something very straightforward. Like, yeah, of course I would do that.
Yeah.
you know, but we'll get there. We will get
Yeah.
better.
And then how do you gather feedback from the technicians to continuously improve your training programs? Do you have a worksheet that you have them fill out, or do you just say, "Hey, just give me feedback"?
I have surveys. I have post seminar and workshop surveys.
Okay.
And for my for my flagship workshop with the estimates, I actually do a pre-survey and a post survey. And in the post survey, I also ask them, on top of specific things about the workshop, I will also ask for feedback if there are any other types of trainings that they would be interested in the future. Because that way it lets me know what the need is. I mean, I can sit here, I've been in the field long enough, so I know a lot of what the needs are from what I've seen, but my background's also been mostly emergency. So to have a lot of feedback from different people as I start to gather that information, it can help me see trends. And maybe I'm really curious to see if different areas have different trends as well in terms of what they feel they need. When I first started going to places, 3 clinics right off the bat. Oh, that sounds great. But do you offer CPR workshops? Not yet. Not yet. So I got that day, I went and I did the online recover CPR, the BLS and the ALS workshops. I did that right away. And then I signed up for the Soonest Rescuer one that I did. And I did that at WVC. And I just found out that they're doing the instructor one at WVC coming up.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was trying to do the one at IVEX, but I didn't have rescuer certification for long enough because you need it for at least 6 months. But yeah. So I'm going to be updating my website because I just signed up for it to say CPR workshop coming March 2026. So I'm
Yay!
excited about that.
Congratulations. Yes.
And people want it, and they asked for it already. So I'm like, I've already got 3 clinics that want it, so that'll pretty much cover the cost. So I'm set. But everybody needs CPR training because even the emergencies, they don't run drills a lot. A lot of the GPs aren't doing it either, and they want to. And there's not a lot of people certified around me, according to the website. So it'll be good to help bring that into the clinics because it is so important. And it's funny because the percentages, like you hear CPR percentage of survival is like 6 to 11%, but with the recover, it's actually way higher because of the things that I can't remember the percent right now, and I should have looked it up before we hopped on the call, but it's way higher. I was like, okay, this seems more worth it because before it was kind of like, I mean, if it were my pet, I would do CPR because it's my baby. I'm going to do everything I can, but it's really hard for me to justify to owners like, hey, if your pet needs this, it's going to be, possibly an extra $400 to $600+ or whatever. And it was hard. I'm not saying to push that, but to even bring that up and to have that conversation is very difficult. But with the recover process, they're seeing survival rates a lot higher, which is amazing. So I'm excited to bring that into more clinics.
Yeah. And I know in emergency clinics, I mean, in all the emergency clinics I work at, we have to ask with every single patient, even if it comes in with a torn nail trim. And,
Yep.
it's one of those things where you have to explain to owners and say, okay, just so you know, this is something that I have to ask every single client, no matter what they're coming in for. So please don't freak out. I
Mhm.
know it's just a torn nail trim. But
Right.
in the event that
But
your
in the event,
that your pet goes under cardiac arrest, do you approve CPR? And sometimes they just give you that look, and you're like, again, I have to ask this question. I mean, you never. It's like you tell them, you never know.
Mhm.
You have no idea. Like
Right.
maybe it's a torn nail trim, but maybe they have a heart disease that we didn't know about, and you're trying to deal with that torn nail trim, and they go into respiratory distress. I mean, you
Mhm.
just never
Yeah.
know.
A splenic
So
mass is getting ready to rupture and you're restrained in a weird way and,
yeah,
it's hard.
exactly.
It's hard.
oh God, as a mobile vet tech that does nail trims, that just instilled a whole new fear into me,
Sorry.
y'all. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm like, okay, that could happen.
You know what?
You
In
just never
part
know. I mean, I've worked in emergency long enough. I
Oh my
have
God,
had
that
some
was
people
good.
tell me that things are like I've heard through the grapevine when people be like, "Oh, that's impossible. That would never happen," and then it does happen. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, nothing is impossible in emergency. Okay, you never know what will happen.
Yep.
Never say never in emergency
Yeah.
because I've seen the craziest things.
That's why I encourage people to get regular lab work because most of the times you'll catch a lot of those things. So, and a lot of I know there's been a shift more to do blood work actually, especially for seniors to do twice a year.
Hmm.
And not a lot of people are
I like
doing
that.
that. And the thing is, because they age so much faster than us, but when
Yeah.
you start pitching that to the general public, they're like, "Oh, you're just trying to get more money out of us." Like, no, really, there's a reason for it. And we're just trying to help your babies the best we can because they live shorter. They age so much faster than we do. And without appropriate baselines, I mean, thankfully my cat's okay. I just took one of them to one of my vets to just get her regular lab work and she had like a mildly elevated ALT and she had a raging like bladder infection, completely
Yeah.
asymptomatic. Completely. She's fine. So we treated her for that and I took her to internist just in case. He's like, it's not elevated enough to worry, but if you want to, just in case, let's do an ultrasound. It's like,
Yep.
well, yeah, I've got insurance.
Yeah,
Whatever you
do
do.
it.
Oh. So thankfully, everything came back clean and her bladder infection's clear. But if I hadn't done that lab work, I'm like, I don't know how. I mean, she had her lab work done a year ago, but I mean, it could have been any time
Yeah.
that she got
Yeah.
that. It's like more white blood cells, bacteria, some white blood cells, but it was like some ridiculous amount of bacteria in her
Mhm.
bladder, and also a very uncommon one. And the doctor asked me after, she's like, um, I know I probably don't need to ask you this, but did you change the needle after after the cysto before putting it in the tube? I was like, yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, that's just really weird. It's like, okay, because it's my cat and I'm a tech, and that's what happens with our cats is they get all the strange things.
Right.
But
Yeah.
she's clear now.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Okay. So, and we've talked, all three of us are business owners here, and me and Jen like to give advice on how to start up your business and what challenges are. So, for you, what advice would you give to technicians considering starting their own business?
My biggest thing is to really do some research and figure out if business ownership is for you.
Okay.
Because the idea of running a business and saying like being your own boss, and it sounds very glamorous, but there's a lot of hard work to be done. You need to be very, very consistent and dedicated. And like you think you're working long hours now.
Mhm.
When you own
Oh,
your own
God. Yeah.
business, it's not just doing the job, right? There's
No.
a lot more involved. And that was my biggest issue when I started is I wasn't putting the time in. I am now, which is why things are, pushing a little faster now. But make sure that the business side of it is for you. And if not, maybe partner with someone who's good at business so that they can do that bit and you can do your thing. Figure out in advance, write up contracts, how profits are going to be split. You want to figure out what forms of payment you're going to take, if, whether you need insurance, depending on the type of business you're running, who your clientele is going to be. Do you need to market on social media? Do you need to, how you want to do these things? And it really, really depends on the business you want to run. Um, the fun thing for me is I'm one of those weird people that I like business. I like the planning side of business. And again, I mentioned earlier, execution is a little more rough, but for me, accountability is a bit of an issue. And I know that. So I'm starting to put those things in place where I have just 3 days ago, I got a new accountability buddy. We're meeting every Saturday for the public speaking thing. I have my other friend that I helped her launch her business. We had stopped meeting for a while, but several months ago, we started having our twice monthly business meetings, once in person and once online. And those 2 days are the most productive days of my month because we'll go to lunch for in-person ones, and then we move to another location and we just sit and we work on our businesses, and we're there if we need to bounce ideas off each other. She was
Oh, that's so cool.
considering whether she needed to go with a different marketing person. I asked her to explain to me what's going on with the current one, and she said that person has never owned a business, but it was part of a free marketing program that she's in to get coaching from this person. And she had done a lot with this person, but this person's limited because she had never actually run a business. And the person that she had the opportunity to work with had.
Hmm.
And her main concern was she didn't want to have any bad feelings with the person who had been helping her so much. So I helped her craft an email to not break that relationship and switched it in the one. I told her, I was like, you 100% for your sake need to go with the more experienced person. This other person you're done with, and not in a negative way. I would tell her, I really appreciate every single thing you've done for me. I really learned a lot and really you helped me grow so much. I also really enjoyed our friendship and our interactions. I do feel that for my business to grow, I need to take this step and go with somebody else. But if you're open to it, I would love to continue our friendship. And I think that was her biggest thing was she didn't want to, break up with someone and have hard feelings because she really did enjoy that. And I told her, and if that person's not okay with it, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. And if she's not going to support you and your business, which is your priority in your life right now, should be yourself and your business, then she's not worth your time. And I know that seems really harsh and it's hard for me to do. I'm really good. I'm like, this is what we should do. Whether I do that, it's a little different. But I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
and the shoulds, right? And she ended up doing that and it went really, really well. And she's now working with the new coach and she's kept that relationship with the other person. So that's one of those things where communication, again, the words that we choose, how we communicate with people is so important.
Dig that. And I like the idea of people getting together like that.
Mhm.
I'm located in Detroit, Michigan. We're right outside Detroit. And I know a technician to the north of me that does what I do. And I know a couple to the south. And you got me thinking, why don't I meet up with them like, I don't know, once every quarter or something,
Mhm.
have lunch with the technicians that are surrounding me and let's all bounce ideas off each other and I thank you.
100%. You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that idea. Thank you.
I I get so many ideas talking with people. I'll start talking about it and something will pop in my head. I'm like, wow, that's an amazing idea. And I came up with it myself. But if I hadn't even brought it up to this person, this thing that was adjacent, I wouldn't have come up with it. And not to say that I don't get great ideas from other people as well, but just talking about what we do
Yeah.
and different aspects of it, it's like, oh, wait, that's a great idea. And always, always write it down because you will,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will forget.
Yeah.
Everything in my phone.
So, what resources or communities have been most helpful for you?
Honestly, a lot of the online Facebook forums have been really helpful, especially yours, the Unattached Vet Tech. I scroll through there a lot and I see really,
Are
really
you
great stuff on there. I'm there. I'm everywhere.
Oh,
Um, but
I love it.
the tech groups, right? All of the tech groups and the tech management groups, as well as even this week, I was going around talking to some local business owners for places that I hang out regularly because I was thinking, because you guys had mentioned insurance, and when you had Jacqueline on there, she was talking about insurance on there and everything. I was like, I really need to get on that. So, because even at working relief, right, it's something that is a good idea to have, and I don't right now. And I was talking to some of the local business owners, like, hey, I know you're not a related business to what I'm doing. However, what insurance companies are you using?
Are you talking about liability insurance?
Liability insurance and whatever else I might need.
Mhm.
Because I don't even know at this point with what I'm doing. I'm not sure what all I need. But I was talking to one of them. It's like, oh, one of the other regulars here who I happen to know is a State Farm agent. She's been doing it for years. Like, oh, that's perfect. So he gave me her number. So I'm going to be reaching out to her later today. But
Nice.
I, the two people I talked to this week, one said, don't go with a big box name. Go with like a small mom and pop insurance company that like nobody knows about. because it'll be better. And then you can scale later if you need to, like always start small and go big because they won't charge you as much. And then the other person says it doesn't matter where you go price wise because everyone's going to charge you the same. It's like those are two completely different things. And he was recommending State Farm because he loves them. He's like, oh, right. And this person also is an agent there and she's been doing it forever. So I said, okay, I will go ahead and reach out to her. But that is my big task for the week.
Insurance. Yeah, the insurance that's brought up a lot in the Unattached Vet Tech group. At this point, I don't believe there's any cultivated liability insurance for licensed vet techs. So most of us have like a
Right.
general blanket. And I know a lot of technicians actually go through State Farm.
Mhm.
And my State Farm insurance agent was able to pull up a general liability for me as well. So I know that's out there. And yeah, it's
Right.
just
I've heard mostly the errors and omissions, I think, is a big one for relief work from my recollection.
definitely. So moving on, how do you manage the business side of things, such as scheduling, billing, marketing? How do you manage all that?
I do it all. I am trying to be better about posting things and reaching out to people. I offer a free discovery call for anyone who's considering working with me, and I run that through Calendly. The link is on my website, just says book a free discovery call now. So it kind of is a self-scheduling. I just make sure I have a date in my calendar reminder every month. Update Calendly schedule for next month because in case things come up, I want to make sure that people don't book things at a time when I'm not available. And I have my billing and everything. I go through Stripe with that was recommended to me as a really good option. But other than that, it's just direct outreach, kind of door to door clinic like, hey, how can I help you today?
Hi.
Uh-huh. And then I wanted to start doing a weekly blog post. And I did that for a couple weeks, then I stopped. And then it's like, okay, so I posted my first one in a while yesterday, which was really funny because it was fully about communication, about how we communicate, the power of language, the words we choose matter. I posted it on LinkedIn, Instagram, and on my website as well to start getting some of those conversations and to get that content out. So as I put more of that stuff out, people can see my communication style in a way and know that I have content out there, whether it jives with them, because otherwise, if I don't have anything out there, they're like, I mean, this person could be amazing and they could be awful. But if I at least have some information out there that is relating to the veterinary field and a lot of these workshops and seminars that I'm offering, it just helps give them insight into my perspective and how I can better assist them in reaching their goals.
Love it. Right. And what are some common barriers to effective communication with clients, and how do you help technicians overcome them?
The biggest one is, again, the words that we choose. We speak with clients in medical speak, which I feel is so inappropriate because they don't understand it most of the time. I love when we talk to each other in the field, we're going to go run a chem CBC, get 3 view thoracic rads. You can't say that to a client. You could, but they're going to be like, okay, sure, whatever. You go in there and you say, okay, we're going to run some blood work on your baby. We're going to make sure the organs are functioning okay, check the red and white blood cells. We're going to get 3 x-rays of the chest. We're going to do one from here and one from each side so we can get a good idea what's going on. And doing that, even though the words take more time, overall, it will take you less time to explain what's going on, whether it's just discussing or going over an estimate. Also, when you do it that way and you are a little bit more wordy and you're using English or whatever their primary language is, they feel more like you care about them and like you care about their pet. So you start building that trust. And that's what I have found to be one of the biggest hurdles in getting good communication back and forth with clients versus with each other. In the back, you want to use medical terminology all day long. Go ahead, have at it. I encourage it. I love it. You can go either way in the back, but in the front, when you walk through those doors, you speak in English or the primary language of the clients if you're able. I do like to make sure I teach people when communicating with clients.
What's that?
Generally, we say we don't want to make assumptions, but in this case, I want us to make assumptions. Number one, this client in front of me is having the worst day they've ever had in their lives. Number two, their baby is dying. And number three, you can't possibly understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you can approach every client that way, I don't care if it's an ear infection, I don't care if it's itchy skin, or if they're actually dying, or any of these things are true. If we go into every client communication with these assumptions, it automatically puts us in a place of empathy. Instead of being upset with them, why are they being so crazy right now? They're having the worst day ever. Their baby just died and you can't possibly understand. Okay, man, well, that sucks. Let's go a little easier. You know what I mean? And if we tell ourselves that each time before we go and talk with our clients, it really, really gives you a perspective shift. And then if we can take those feelings and talk to our teammates in the same way, with that same care and that same empathy, that's what I hope to be able to get people to do with each other.
We talk about communication a lot in this, but do you personally think body language has a lot to do with it as well? Because I know a lot of times when I am going over an estimate and I know that it's going to be a difficult estimate, or I know it's going to be a long estimate, or even in general, I think even with simple estimates, I always just make sure that I sit down next to the client and then I face them and I look at them and then I say, okay, we're going to go over this together. And then I'm going to let you know what everything means. And then at the end of this, if there's something that you don't understand, then we're going to talk it out and we're going to see what needs to be done. Do you think that that makes a difference?
100%. 100%. And a lot of things that I'm reading also say the same thing, because there's something intimidating about if they're sitting and you're standing over them, or if you have a desk between the two of you. And this is the same with leadership conversations when you need to have a serious, potentially negative talk with a member of your team. You shouldn't be standing. You should not have a desk in front of you. You should show no physical barriers. You want to reduce the physical barriers, which helps to remove the psychological barriers a little bit as well. And I do the exact same thing. I will pull up a seat. I will sit right next to them, and exactly what you were saying, when I'm done going over the estimate, I first ask them if they have any questions on any of the line items. And if they are not there by themselves, I will always ask them, would you like me to step out of the room for a few minutes so you can talk?
Yes.
So
Or
that they
think
don't have to
about
feel
it.
right. And you can usually see on their face when they want to, but I'll always ask just in case. But yes, our body language is very important. I see people walking with estimates and, have like a hand up on a counter and be like leaning over and doing these things, or, that very like closed off and closed face kind of thing. And we want to be considerate, right? So whether we're going over an estimate for vaccines versus surgery versus a euthanasia and how we do that. When I go over euthanasia estimates, I use a more quiet voice unless I
Right.
have hard of hearing.
Sometimes I'm whispering and then, yes, you have the hard of hearing and they're like, I can't hear you. I need you to yell. And then you're just like, oh, it doesn't even feel right of having to yell about this.
Right, right. And actually, it was really interesting. I had, when I was managing this is my most proud hire. She was great, in my opinion, and nobody else in the clinic wanted her there. And I had to force the matter of, she's coming back for a working interview. And the reason for this, she was an experienced CSR. She was very hyper, very, very loud and big, but I knew she was experienced. So we went through the whole interview process, tour and everything. And my last question I asked her, and I did it just like this, like, okay, you've got a client here for euthanasia. Go. And she did all the right things. She was able to instantly tone it down and do all of the things, the empathetic things. It was like, I just wanted to hire her on the spot. But I had to fight even to get other people to allow her to come back for a working interview. And I don't put my foot down on a lot of things, even as management, like unless I really need to, but like, no, she's coming back. And she ended up being the best employee that we had there since I had started, and the only one that I was sure that I wanted to bring on. And it made me feel good about my assessment. It always kind of like, oh, did I make the right decision? And with this one, it was 100%. And she was phenomenal. And it comes to find out later that she actually didn't need to work because she was in a financial situation where she was just working for fun. So she also
Oh,
didn't need the job, which removes a lot of stress
She
when you don't need to be there, which is rare
yeah.
in our
Yes, she
field.
wanted it.
And she wanted it. And it's just everything about the way that she interviewed was just amazing to me. But again, it's that, what did she do with her voice? It came down. She got, warmer with her, more open body language. And that kind of like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm here with you and I'm feeling your feelings with you, but I need to go over this paperwork. And I think the topic also, even if you're going over discharge instructions or any of those things, it really does matter, not just the words you use, but as you brought up the great point, the body language and how you're moving. And if you are one of those people that are not good with picking up on body language or using it, bring a teammate in there with you and have them watch you and give you pointers. Because I know there are some people that have issues with that. And there is a way to work around it. It takes a little bit more time and effort, but to have, a buddy system,
Buddy system.
to have
Yeah.
somebody help you with that to practice with, it really helps.
Yeah, because you want the client to want to feel comfortable to asking you those questions. Because if you're already walking in with that closed off body language and there's almost that imaginary wall between the two of you, the client's going to have questions, but they're not going to want to ask you. And that's a lot of times where sometimes I think technicians will get pushback and they'll be like, that's the times when the client's going to be like, well, can I just speak to the doctor? And and sometimes that's, I think a lot of times we sugarcoat things, and me and Michelle want this to be a podcast where we really don't sugarcoat things, and we want people to be able to take their own accountability. So if you're getting a lot of pushback from clients, or you're getting, I mean, and we're talking about whether you own your own business, whether you're doing relief and you're on the floor and you are going over these things, if you're getting pushbacks from people and they're not trusting what you're saying, you got to take a little bit of that accountability and think about, well, how am I coming off? Am I closed off? Am I not able to get the trust of these clients or trust of people? Is there something that I'm doing that I could do better? Whether that's your tone of voice, the way you communicate, and your body language.
Exactly. And also important to note, you could be perfect at all of those things and you are still going to get those clients that are still going to be like, I just want to
Yeah.
talk to the doctor
Just
or
the doc.
whoever the other
Yeah.
person is. And that's okay. You know, knowing that you did the best that you could with the tools that you have currently, especially if you're, as we do, continue to work on improving ourselves. And it's still, nothing's going to work 100% of the time, but just working on improving is always the important thing. And it's okay it's not a loss. You didn't lose or fail if they asked to talk to the doctor. This just wasn't a good fit today.
Right, but I also have a little way of kind of getting around that sometimes, because I can say, well, the doctor's working on other cases right now, so it might be a while before they can answer your questions. So, do you want to just ask me, and I will answer to the best of my ability? And if at any point you feel like I haven't answered your question to the best of your knowledge, then of course, then we can get the doctor in to answer more of your questions.
Mhm.
That's what I do.
Absolutely. No, that definitely works great. I've had those situations where the doctor was actually busy, and I have said that as well. And I will usually try lightly to push for them to ask me, just again to be mindful and protective of the doctor's time.
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of times those clients will keep the doctors in there for a really long time, especially in
Yes,
emergency and when you've
I've had
got
to
so
save
much
my
of those
doctors a
clients.
time or two.
Yeah, it's rough, and it's always awkward because you don't wanna pull them out of rooms because those clients need that extra attention, that extra assurance, which is completely understandable. But a lot of times, somebody else on the team can help give them that assurance while we free our doctors up to do more of the doctor things.
Right. Right. Which is why this is so important. So, how does mentorship play a role in the personal and professional growth of veterinary professionals, in your opinion?
It helps so much to have somebody, ideally, your mentor is someone who has been where you are, so they can help guide you through your journey to where you want to go. And where you want to go might not be where they are, but it's somebody who's going to be a well-rounded individual who can be there for you to answer questions, or if you need to vent or just something you feel uncomfortable with, someone there to be there for you, to support you in any way that you need throughout your journey. When I was starting in veterinary medicine, I felt that I had so many people looking out for me, and I feel so grateful. It was to the point where I was on the phone with a tech friend of mine last month, and I asked her, because, sometimes we like to look back at points in history as like, oh, that was amazing, but it really wasn't. I had to ask her. It's like, was it? I feel like it was really good there. Was it? Or was this just in my head because it was only my second clinic? She's like, no, it was. It was really good there. Everybody supported me. Everyone took turns training me. I worked as a receptionist from 6 to midnight. And then when I would finish, I would clock out, and then I would get trained as a tech in the back. Because this was before, in California, you didn't need to be licensed to do all the tech things. And they trained me not just how to do things, but this is why I'm doing it this way. This is why we're doing it. There are other ways to do it. Watch this person because they have a really great technique that might work better for you. So when I train, I like to train in that same way. Although some people don't want that. So I have to tell people, like, hey, if I'm giving you too much information, when I'm doing my one-on-ones, like, just tell me, like, maybe not all this right now. Let's just focus on one thing at a time. Because it's funny when you have all this knowledge, you're like, I want to give you all of it right now.
Right.
And it can definitely be overwhelming, but I see so many people these days that don't have anything like that. I see clinics, especially doing relief work. There's no training, there's no mentorship. They don't have anybody that they trust or can turn to. And it's just really, really sad to see. With mentorship, what that's going to do is it's going to increase again, improve patient care, bottom line. It helps us to have people that we trust. When we trust people, we feel more comfortable. When we feel comfortable, we ask more questions. When we ask more questions, we learn more. We can do better for ourselves and for each other. And with a dedicated mentor, you have that constant support there that so many of us need, especially coming in fresh. If you have someone new coming into the field and all they see is all this negativity that we have in the field these days, they turn so quickly. Whereas if you pair them with somebody who has a positive outlook and they don't have to be the trainer, right? The mentor doesn't have to be the trainer, but it does work out that way sometimes. But that mentor can guide them toward training resources and help them in other ways. And it just gives a positive outlook on our field, and it helps those people to see more of a future as opposed to like, oh, I'm just doing this for now and we'll see where my life ends up, as opposed to, man, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love how this person is and I want to be like this person. And then those turn into the mentors for the younger generations, and we need more of that.
Yeah. I just to add on to, they can be a mentor without being a trainer. I had one of those in I think it was like my third clinic, but I was still like a baby tech. And I was only like maybe my second year in the industry, and I was still learning and very unsure. And while she wasn't an official trainer, in fact, she was my age. I think she was 7 days younger than me. I still look back, I'm like, not Jen, but another Jen actually was like my mentor. And she probably has no idea the effect that she had on me. She was the first person to give me confidence in what I was doing. And I still think back to her, like just her giving me these tidbits and just being so much of an awesome mentor. And she was not the official trainer, but she saw that I needed help. So I think that's super important. It's great to have a mentor like that, even if they're not like, they don't got the badge that says, "Hi, I'm trainer." Yes.
Yeah, and to be able to tell that person later on in life. So my friend I just mentioned, I spoke to a month ago about this clinic. We had stopped talking for a couple of years while I was living in Virginia, and we got back in touch, and I had told her how much the things that she taught me, because she was more of a teacher to me, and she was just always very supportive as well. I told her how much of a positive impact she had on me, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. And she had no idea that she had that much of an impact on me. And to be able to give her that, because a lot of people who are mentors or even accidental mentors. They might not even know that you see them in that way. To be able to give back to them, to know that they had such a positive impact. And then it makes me think sometimes, how many people have I done that for? And then it makes me feel happy that I can be there to support other people. Because there's so many of us that just feel lost, like what am I doing with my life? And I try to be there for those people when I can, because sometimes you can see it, on certain people, and just walk up like, "Hey, you look like you're having a rough day. You want to talk about it?"
Yeah, I don't think any, and of course, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I don't think there's not one single veterinary professional that hasn't thought, wow, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should have done something else. And maybe it doesn't last long in some,
Mhm.
maybe it does last longer in others. But I think we can all agree to that at least, and know that, okay, so we're not alone in this. And what is the difference between the ones that have continued to go past the 15 to 20-year mark, or even that 7 to 8 year mark, and the ones that are at that point and are still so passionate? What is the difference between those people and the other ones who leave? And was it a lack of mentorship? Was it not enough positivity? Was there not enough passion there? What was your environment like? Could you have changed it? Things like that.
I actually had somebody about 3 months ago ask me this exact question when she had asked me how long I'd been in the field, and I said almost 25 years. And she said, "Why are you still in? How do you do it?" As you were mentioning all those things you just said, one thing just popped in my mind. Hopelessness is why people leave. There's no hope that things are going to get better. I have hope things are going to get better. And I am now at a point where I'm taking active steps to make it better, because I don't want people feeling that way. I don't want people feeling hopeless. We need people to stay in the vet field, whether it's doing mobile work, whether it's staying in the clinics or whatever it is. We need to make our field healthy again. We need to make it feel hopeful before we can even consider trying to recruit more people. We're trying to recruit, but what are we recruiting into? Everything's awful. Every day's horrible. Every clinic's toxic, and it's that's all we're hearing online.
Mhm.
You hardly hear any of the positive stories.
Right.
And I know they're out there, but just like anything else, right? If you're in a relationship with somebody and you're talking to your friends, you don't talk about how every day, "Oh my God, it's so amazing. It's great, great, great." You talk about when the bad things happen. And then you're surprised when your friend's like, "Oh, you should leave that person," because all they
Mhm.
hear is the negative.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing with veterinary
Makes
medicine.
sense.
Mhm.
We need to highlight the positive stories. We need to encourage people to talk more about their positive experiences and why they love what they do, and how their clinics are providing trainings, how their clinics are using the most up-to-date treatments and therapeutics, and how we're improving veterinary medicine instead of all of those other things that we've all heard 50 million times before.
Right. Because there are clinics out there that are doing those things. Are they few and far between? Maybe. But I think that if we continue to, I mean, if the majority of technicians are looking for clinics that are like that, then, and they're losing, and then the other clinics that aren't pursuing that are losing staff, then maybe that will get their butts in gear and start to realize, hey, we need to change things if we want to keep people working here.
Right.
That's just how it works.
And there are enough technicians, there are enough of us to do better in clinics, but we have so many people these days, as soon as they say one bad thing about the clinic, like, "Oh, you should leave that clinic," which in some cases, 100%. Some things are absolutely no. Report and leave, right? And I
Hmm.
get that. I feel there's so many lost opportunities where people can try to affect change where they are. And it's hard. And that's actually one of the reasons I wanted to get into management, because I realized I couldn't affect change as much as I'd like to as a technician. Some of my managers have been great and they would implement some of the things I recommended. But a lot of times you don't get that. And another issue, again, with that, a lot of people in management these days don't want to be in management in the veterinary field. You
But
have
yet
a lot of
they
them.
fall into it.
It
Yeah.
pays more, so I'll do it. Okay, fine. But they don't have the experience, they don't get the training, they don't do these things. And it makes sense. But if we imagine a world where we had leaders who wanted to be in leadership positions and they were good at it because they wanted to be there and their teams trusted them, and the assistants, CSRs, and technicians and DAs and all of those got paid not just a livable, but a comfortable wage. Instead of focusing on just getting a livable wage, which we've been fighting for so long, we just want a livable wage. We shouldn't just settle for a livable wage, although that's a good start, but we should be at a comfortable wage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saving lives here.
Yeah.
It's hard work. It's a lot of hours and there's a lot involved compared. And this is not to say like any particular jobs are more or less important than other things, but there's got to be a way for us to advocate for wages based on whatever the local minimum wage is. So
Mhm.
minimum wage times 2 or minimum wage times 1.5 or minimum wage times 3. So it's not going to be across the board. As a credential technician starting out of school, you should be getting $30 an hour. As assistant, you should start at $20 an hour, whatever, random numbers. But looking at it across the board, what is a livable or comfortable wage in your area? And that's where we should start having those cost conversations, for those wage conversations.
So, what challenges do you face in providing mentorship, and how have you overcome them?
I personally, the biggest challenges I would think is people having consistency, because you get to a point where you're starting to help somebody and they're starting to do well, but they kind of plateau
Mhm.
and you want to work with them through that and they just fall off or stop responding. I haven't had that so much, but another issue that I've seen other people have is they will take someone on as a mentor, and then the mentor will make recommendations that make sense for them, and then they just don't want to do it. And they'll be very vocal about it. And I know that some people that I know who are mentors to other will just drop those people because you obviously don't want to work with me and this is not a good relationship, because it is a two-way street, mentorship. As a mentor, you're also learning from the person you're mentoring. It's definitely a two-way conversation. And I said the same thing when I was teaching. When I first started teaching, I didn't know what I was going to say my first day. And words just came out of my mouth. And I loved them so much that I used them every semester after that. I told them my name, what room we were in. And then I would say, I am a human being. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. However, if you ask me a question I don't know the answer to, I will tell you I don't know, but I will get you an answer by the following week. Hopefully, you learn some things from me, I learn some things from you, and we have a good semester. And I feel similarly with mentorship because, again, none of us have all the answers to everything. It's okay to say, I need to take a little bit more time to look into this, but I want to help you through this. Or, this is a little out of my wheelhouse. Let me refer you to somebody who can help you with this. And just, again, knowing it's not, when someone comes to you for mentorship, it's not about you, it's about them.
Mhm.
And maybe it's just not a good fit. And that's okay. There should be some sort of process where you get to know the person first to see if it'll be a good fit for you. And I think that's probably the biggest issue of people taking on mentees, is that they just want to help everybody, or they don't want to see themselves as a failure, right? Because we're so big on, I need to succeed in everything. And if I take on someone that's not a good fit for me, or I'm not a good fit for them, you are practically guaranteeing a failure. And it's okay to know when to tap out, right? There's always things you can learn, but sometimes you're not going to be the best option for that person.
Yeah, and I
think
think that
that
that also correlates into business, right? I mean, that's why there's so many different, if you think about how many different coaches there are, or how many different relief technicians there are, or mobile veterinary nursing. I mean, there's a lot of businesses, and you can't just say, well, I can't do that because somebody's already done it. And so what difference would I make? But not everybody works out for every different aspect. So
Mhm.
it's the same thing with mentorship. You're not going to jive with every single person. There's billions of people out there, and some people just they vibe more with other people. So I that's absolutely. And like you said, if that mentorship doesn't work with that particular person, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you just didn't vibe with that person.
Right.
Just wasn't it wasn't a right fit.
Right. And that's okay. And that's the big
Mhm.
thing is, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that you honestly answered the next question with that. So I think, which is great. I love that. We're just going to move on to the next segment with that.
So, what trends do you see shaping the future of veterinary clinics and technician roles?
Increased tech utilization is going to be key, leading to increased
Yes.
patient care. And again, this is going to be a bit of a recap, right? So, unifying us all into one title to have one title for credentialed veterinary technicians is going to be
Yes.
really helpful. Having clinics implementing training, mentorship programs to really help round everything out and keep everybody supported. And all of that leads back to everything with that is going to bring us to this place of trust where we're trusting each other, we're trusting our doctors, our managers, our clients, and we can provide a better client experience and improved patient care. I feel like I sound like a broken record. Improve patient
No.
care, improve patient care.
Well, and I mean, I even if you go back with every interview that we've had so far, and I mean, a lot of from the specific questions, the answers are the same, and then we're trying to, I mean, with that, we're trying to get a point across, right? That it's the same answer all around. So just let's do it. How can we do that?
Yes.
So, I mean, it I, it is kind of a broken record, but it needs to be said
Yeah,
by multiple people.
definitely.
So,
Yep. Just keep on hammering it home
mhm.
because it's you can say it once and somebody will forget it, but if you say it over and over again, it'll start to
Right.
become something we apply in everyday life.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. Right. Are there any innovative training methods or technologies you're excited about incorporating into your workshops?
I am very excited about once I get my CPR instructor certification, I'm gonna get me one of those critical care Jerry's. So,
I had
fun
one of
tool.
those. Okay.
They're really great, and they're
Yeah.
if you're using it for training, it's actually not that expensive in the scope of things. I understand it's a bit of an expense for a clinic, but if I'm going to be doing workshops regularly but I've gotten to train on these before, and they are amazing, and then you can get additional legs to practice venipuncture, and there's another company that recently it's a newer veterinary company that came out with training vessels
Oh,
to practice venipuncture as well, and follow
Oh.
instructions and stuff, so I'm really excited about that, so I'll be getting those pretty soon as well for my venipuncture
Oh,
workshop.
that sounds awesome.
Mhm.
Make sure. Okay. So, what is your vision for the future of veterinary clinic operations and technician utilization?
First off, increase patient care, improve patient care. But also, again, as I mentioned, not just us as credentialed technicians getting a livable wage, but a comfortable wage.
mhm.
A world where we don't have to work 5 jobs to be able to afford a house if we wanna be in a house, and
Right.
a decent car to get us places, where we're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
To have trust and to have collaboration within teams, between teams, and with clients.
That's so sad. You see in all those tech groups, hey, what's your guys' side hustle? What's your guys' side hustle? And you see so much of that. And it's like
Yeah.
feet pics. Like, and we shouldn't have to be resorting to side hustles and feet pics when we are educated, trained medical professionals.
Right.
100%
Oy.
agreed. Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
if you want to have a side hustle for fun, that's
Yeah.
cool, but you shouldn't need it to make ends meet.
Right. To make extra money. Yeah. That's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I think as we conclude here, we've had an amazing conversation. We've talked a lot about communication and how we can better utilize our technicians and even just the importance of gaining the trust of your doctors, your staff, and your clients. And then, of course, in a business aspect as well, I think it's really important. But in conclusion, Sharon, what aspect of all that you do are you most passionate about? And how do you keep that passion alive based off of what we talked about before? You've been doing this for 25 years. You said that you had hopefulness, not hopelessness. Would you generally say that there's more to it than that, or that you just always had something to hold on to?
I feel that I've always had something going on the side so that my entire life wasn't tied to how my day at work went, whether it was music or crafting or whatever that is. But my true passion is really in teaching. That, again, that glow when people just get it for that first time, when they start to feel more confident and you see that, they start going out on their own, trying to learn new skills, and then they're able to start providing better patient care. They're able to have better mental well-being. They feel better as just as a human. They feel like a happier, more positive human, and it just brings me such joy to be able to do that with something as basic as teaching. I'm not going to say as simple because teaching is definitely difficult. One of the things I love doing most is trying to learn how particular people learn because not everybody learns the same way. I had a particular example of somebody who I was working with when it was my job to train people on handling and restraint of mice and rats. Same technique for pretty much everybody, except this person was a man who had very large hands. And
Oh,
restraining the
Oh.
mice was, he physically
Oh.
couldn't do it the way that we were teaching everybody else. I had to find a modified way for him to do that. Another example, someone that I used to work with had her body configuration, just very short limbs. It was very hard for her to get around a larger dog. We had to find some modified techniques for her to be able to restrain those larger animals. And in some cases, just have to say, we might not be able to do this. We might have to have you pass this off to somebody else. And that's okay because I would say the same thing, even if someone was physically able to do a thing, but they're terrified of working with our spicy cats. Maybe you're not the person for this. Let's go ahead and have someone else do it. It's not because you
me,
can't, but
that's me.
maybe somebody else can do this in a safer way where we
Hmm.
don't have to put you or the pet in danger or anybody else.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. We have to give grace, and we can't expect everyone to be good at everything. And I know that I'm good at a lot of things, and like you just said, fractious cats, and I'll admit it openly. I'm like, yeah, I'm not the best person with fractious cats. I am a heck of a lot better than I used to be. I will tell you that. But I'm still not the best. And so we need to utilize people who are better at certain things, and we need to praise them for that. And it's okay for people to be good at certain
Different
things,
things.
and instead of all across the board and say, oh, we can't praise so and so for that specifically because then it'll hurt everybody's feelings. No, everyone has something, so let's celebrate it, let's figure out what it is, and then let's utilize it, and then work as a team.
Of
And I think
course.
that's what your whole campaign has been about at this point in time.
Right. And also, that's another thing, right? Can't praise this person because of this thing. We should be normalizing praising everybody for lots of things. I
Yes.
can't tell you how many times I go, there was an animal that was a hard sick, like, hey, great job getting that catheter. And it was like,
Mhm.
hey, great dealing with that client over there. I know they were kind of standoffish at first. And to do that, I know when I was managing every day when I would walk in, I would walk to every single person like, hey, how you doing today? And most of them would say, okay. But every once in a while, I'd see one that, even though they said, okay, they didn't look okay. I take that time to go take them aside and be like, what's going on? Do you want to talk about it? And in a comfortable way. And most of them felt comfortable talking to me, and I appreciated that.
Mhm.
But also, when I was on the floor, I would go out on the floor and check, make sure they were okay. Like, hey, do you guys need anything? Hey, you're doing great with that. I had this one, it was it stands out to me the most. The containers for the scrub, the alcohol and Chlorhex scrub.
Hmm.
He was cleaning them out properly. He took them out, he was washing the containers before filling them back up instead of just topping it off. And I just walked by and I saw that and I said, "Hey, thank you." He said, "For what?" I said, "For doing that properly." He's like, "I'm just doing my job." And I said, "I know, and I appreciate it." And I could just see, like, you could see inside, like, his demeanor just improving.
Hmm.
And it was, again, it was a simple thing. We shouldn't have to praise people for just doing their jobs, but at this point, so many people don't even do the bare minimums that it feels like praising someone for doing a good job is a big deal.
Well, and some people, I mean, you can even go back and you talk about learning and their learning language. I mean, think about love language. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the five love languages, but that they've even said that that's also an aspect of work. Sometimes at work, some people do better with words of affirmation, and they're going to do better. I mean, I even know with my
That's
husband,
me.
like I know sometimes like people are like, oh well, your husband shouldn't be told that he's doing a good job just because he did the dishes. It's like, okay, but he likes being told he did a good job. And when I tell him that he did a good job, he does the dishes more. So if that's going to work for him, I'm going to keep doing it. And if it makes him happy, I'm going to keep doing it. And I think we have to think about that in terms of even just people that we work with. You go, "Oh, I mean, oh, I guess you deserve a cookie." But no, we do. We
We
do. We
do.
deserve those words of affirmation because if you sit there and you're doing that work every single day and you don't feel like you're being noticed, then you're going to be like, "What's the point? What's the point of my?" Because sometimes in the beginning of why we started doing it doesn't become enough. And that's just because we're human beings. And it becomes enough when you're getting that affirmation and you're being told that you're doing a good job and you're being noticed. People want to be noticed. People want to be people want to know that they're important. That is human nature.
Mhm.
And giving people that that feeling of being important is gonna go a long way.
100% agree with that. And it's really important to remember that if you want certain things to feel good, other people also want those things. They want either, whether it's words of affirmation or gifts of time or whatever those are.
Yeah.
An example with me, this one clinic where I work pretty regularly, I will say, I hate cleaning. I'll do it really well and I'm very
Oh, I love
thorough.
cleaning.
I hate it.
I love
And
it.
I don't hate a lot of things, but I hate cleaning, but I'll do it because I'm infection infection focused and I'm very, germaphobe in that way. Somebody had overheard me making a comment about it, and so now every time they come on when I'm working, if there's any cages that hadn't been cleaned yet because I've been too slammed, that's the first thing they do is they'll go clean cages so I don't have to. But they also know that I'll go over every single estimate because they hate going over estimates and talking
Yeah.
with clients.
Yes, that
And
is a love language right
fair,
there at work.
Yes.
right? It's like, "Great, I hate
Yes.
doing this, and you do that, and you're good at that, and, I hate this, but you're good at that. Great, let's go ahead, and I'll do all of this if you'll do all that, I'm fine with it."
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
that's
perfect.
how
Teamwork.
teams work.
Teamwork,
Mhm.
exactly.
At
So
my sorry.
oh, no, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just gonna say at one of my old clinics, one of my coworkers hated doing nail trimming. She hated it. And guess who took that over every time? I was like, I'll do it for you, Karen. No problem. I got you. And she would actually go do a lot of like the youth rooms at the clinic I worked at. The techs did the euthanasias here in Michigan. We can as long as there was a doctor on premise. So she actually did all the youth rooms because we would do it in the room in front of the owner. So I would get so nervous. I'm like, I can't do it. My hands are shaking. And she's like, well, if you go do that nail trim, I'll do that youth. I'm like, bet. And it always worked out so well for us. Like, and that was one person does one thing they're good at, the other person does what they're good at, and it's helpful for everybody. And here, yes, you're good at use, you're good at being in front of the owners. You do that. I just like this for whatever reason. I'll go do this. It is a love language, absolutely.
So before we ask our final question, is there anything else, Sharon, that you want to bring up that we haven't talked about pertaining to your business or things that you're looking forward to in the future at this time?
I am very much looking forward to launching my keynote concert business, which is public speaking as a motivational, inspirational speaker, where I am going to be working on improving company culture, specifically in veterinary medicine, at least for starters. Although I'm hearing from a lot of people that it's just bad everywhere. So eventually I'll expand there. But also, little
Nice.
teaser, I do have a book that I'm almost done writing that I'm very excited to
Oh,
get out there.
yeah.
And this one is going to be geared toward pet parents. So I'm very
Nice.
excited. I'm very excited for that. It will definitely be out on the socials as soon as it is launched.
Do you have a timeline on that so people can be aware?
I really wanna get it out before this year's over.
All right. I would love to get an autographed copy. Just saying. Yes, I will be one of the first people as a pet parent to read through it.
And do you know where
Thank
you're specifically gonna be launching at, like, on Amazon, and you gonna have audiobook as well, or
I'm definitely gonna have an audiobook, so it's going to be available in print as well as ebook and audiobook.
Okay.
Where I'm going to be publishing, I was wanting to self-publish, but I'm kind of tentative about the Amazon publishing because of some things that I've heard in
Okay.
terms of that might not be the best, so I'm going to be reaching out to Barnes& and Noble because I know that they have a print to order service,
Oh,
because I've ordered a book that is on there, so I'm going to be, in the next couple weeks, researching that, but as soon as the book is done being written, I will start putting it out there that, um, when published dates are looking like they're going to happen, but I'm really hoping to get it out before this year's over.
right.
uh, do you follow Amy Newfield?
I do.
She did a whole podcast episode about how to become an author maybe like a month ago on her vet med team training, in case that might help you. I listened to it. I don't plan on writing a book, but I listened to it
Ooh.
and I found it very insightful.
I'm actually planning on writing a book, and I actually had a meeting with a self-publisher about it, and so I'm actually gonna listen to that, so
Yeah.
that's
It was,
interesting. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I have both of her books. I just finished reading one of them last week. I know that she's self-published, and I was trying to see, and there was no publisher written anywhere, but then on the last page, I did see that it said, "Hey, leave a review on Amazon," which means that she must have gone through Amazon.
Oh. For everyone, just so they know, we are going to put all of Sharon's information and links on the show notes. So I believe her website will definitely be on the show notes, and anything else that she wants added on there will also be on there. And I'm assuming that when she does publish her book, that will be on her website as well.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
We have one final question actually for you. Yes.
And then our final question, we think it's really important for all of our guests to be able to spotlight that one person or pet or anybody that you'd like to thank or acknowledge for their support in your journey. So anybody that you would like to dedicate this episode to.
Always, always to my parents for their never-ending support, and my boyfriend have been so amazingly supportive. One person I would like to specifically acknowledge is a veterinarian, and he actually passed away just under 2 months ago. It was June 6th, Dr. Mark Goldstein. I met him randomly. He was giving a keynote speech at a conference in San Diego. He wrote a book called Lions and Tigers and Hamsters. There's also a subtitle. You've read it?
Yes, I have that book in my library.
It's an
I have.
amazing book, and he was such an amazing advocate for the human-animal bond,
Mhm.
and we would hop on these random phone calls, and he would ask me these very, very thought-provoking questions. "How do you feel about fear-free?" And then I would tell him my thoughts about it, and he's like, "You know I helped launch that, right?" It's like, "Oh, right." And then, I have mixed feelings on fear-free. I love in concept, in theory, I love it. There's in practice some different things, but conversation for a different day. But he would just really make me think. And I'm in a band and we had a show in San Diego and he came out to it. Him and I never worked together, but he came out to this show. And after the show, he told me that I know I've never worked with you, but I can tell from the conversations that we've had that you are a phenomenal tech. But compared to what I just saw on that stage, you are so amazing. Being a tech seems like a side thing to you.
Aw.
And it was like just, it was so nice to hear that from him, someone who I hold in very high regard. I mean, he used to be the head over at the LA Zoo. He worked at, the clinic was called Angel. It's one of the really well-known clinics over on the East Coast. And he's been with a lot of really high-profile companies and organizations working to let people know and encourage people to learn about the human-animal bond and how important that is. And the work he's done for this field has been amazing. And it's really helped to lead me this way.
All
Yes.
right. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, thank you, Doc.
Yep, thank you. Oh, I can't believe, and he died 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Ugh.
on my best friend's birthday.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, no.
But yeah, he was such an amazing person, and his wife is so amazing, and she's been super supportive as well. And he was working on another book, so I need to reach out to her and see how close he got to finishing, so maybe it can help push that out into the world as well, because he
Yeah.
was just such an amazing human.
Oh, nice.
gosh.
Well, I think that pretty much, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for coming on here and talking about your business and your workshops and everything that you're so passionate about. I feel like we are all, oh, look at that, the little
I
kitty.
know, it's me.
Just in just in
Um, yeah, I feel like, you know what, we're all on the same page as far as what we're trying to do in this field. And I know that a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and also for everything that both of you are doing for this field. It's amazing, and it is so needed, and getting all these topics out there and what you're doing for techs who are trying to make it on their own on the side and all those things. It's so encouraging and refreshing to see that, yes, we can be our own business people, we can be our own best advocates, and we can really help to elevate each other in veterinary medicine.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So I'm hoping
Yes.
that we hope it'll make a difference too. Just getting that hopefulness out. I love that. I love that you had said that earlier, where you were just like, it's hopelessness. So yes, we're trying to bring the opposite. We're trying to make people hopeful and know that your future is in your hands. So if you want this, if you want the change, like, you know, not sugarcoat it, stop complaining, and let's do something about it. And
Get
let's
it
make it
done.
happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.